What is up, YouTube? This is Larry from Team Awesome Sauce, and I'm here and I decided to show you my Dragonite deck. LOL, just kidding. I'm here to show you my scrap deck. Insert bad joke here. Me and Scraps had a history. I made them back when they first came out in Duelist Revolution. Well, around that time. And back then, format was a lot slower. You ran a lot more situational cards. The deck really just wasn't as good, and it didn't have that little oomph that it needed to compete with the rest of it, even though it still showed up in a couple top 16 deck lists and stuff like that. So here's an updated version for post Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy that I felt was pretty good. If you think there's some changes that might be necessary for the deck, please leave them down in the comments section below. But in the meantime, here's my deck, and I guess I'll start off the list right now. I run 3 Scrap Chimera. He's your main monster in the deck. He special summons the Scrap Tuner from the graveyard. He's basically like a Debris Dragon, and he can only synchro with and only 4 Scrap monsters. So he's kind of limited, but he really just goes for your main card anyways, your main boss monster. Next, run Trip Scrap Beast. Reason why you run 3 is because he's level 4, and he's a tuner, and he's a Scrap monster. That's about it. Next, back in the day, we used to only run 1 of him just because he was a bad draw. Now, running 2 Scrap Golem just because he's basically your red med for the deck. Special summon scraps from the graveyard. It's pretty good, so might as well. And he's not dead in hand anymore. That's what kind of helps out with this deck a lot. Next is your Scrap Goblin. He's pretty much your Spirit Reaper of the deck, and he's also a Scrap Tuner. So kind of has 2 functionalities. He's great to synchro with Golem for level 8, or Scrap Chimera for your Scrap Archfiend, your level 7. So that's pretty much it for the Scrap monsters. It's 10 scraps. And then for the non-Scrap monsters, I run 2 Summoner Monk, and then 2 Chain Dog. Chain Dog's good to combo with Chimera when you have Scrap Beast in the grave, and Summoner Monk's just pretty good for first turn setup, and it gets a lot of the dead spells out of your hand. So that pretty much justifies them. And the thing that helps out with the new cards that help out with this deck is I run triple Redox, just because the Reborn effect is so good in this deck. It's really what gives the deck this boost. It's almost like what Tempest does for Dragoonities, Redox does for Scraps. It feels like this card is really made for Scraps. So there's that. And I also want to run 1 copy of Pebbles, just because you don't really need more than 1. He just helps get those cards you want in the graveyard, in the grave. And he does a nice little 18 beater. That's also pretty cool. So that was it for the monsters. I believe it's 18. And we'll move on to the spells. We'll run 3 Scrap Storm. It's like a combination of Gemini Spark and Foolish Burial. You'll destroy one of your Scrap monsters and draw a card. And then typically you'll destroy Beast or Goblin. And their effects is when they're destroyed by a Scrap card, you get to add a Scrap monster from the graveyard to your hand. So Foolish is a Scrap monster, draw a card, and destroy yours, which triggers your Scraps effects. So that's pretty good. Next is the road of the deck, Scrapyard. Adds a Scrap Tuner. Can't say much. It's just okay. Next is 3 Gold Sarks for the Redox. It just helps with consistency, and it's pretty much all that you search for. And if Gold Sark seems kind of dead, you can usually pitch it with Summoner Monk. Let's see, 2 dualities for consistency issues, and if it's dead, Summoner Monk. 1 MST, just because it's nice to have, and you don't, there's not really too much coming in the back row, but it's usually there when you need it. That's all I gotta say about it. See, next is 2 Forbidden Lance, just because it basically does the job MST does, but it also has a second functionality of like decreasing 800 attack, which can be really useful at times. Heavy Storm, it's obvious. Reborn, obvious. Dark Hole, just because the field wipe is pretty good. And that's pretty much it for the spells. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably about 13, I want to say. No. It's probably 14. I don't know. But for the traps, really small lineup. 2 Fiendish Chain. It's pretty simple. It's a really good card. 2 Bottomless and the Solemn Duo. Just cause that is what it is. So that's the main deck. So it's 40 card main deck. It's about as streamlined as I can get it. So I like it at that. Next is the extra deck for the Exceeds. I run a Lava Ball Chain. Really helps with first turn setups. He's a really good card in this deck. Really boosted ever since it came out. So there's that. Queen Dragoon Jin. You'll reborn your dragons from the grave, level 5 or higher. So it just has like a nice little protection ability and puts up a little wall with Redox or with a Scrap Dragon. It's pretty cool. So that's like the only really non-typical rank 4 cards I run in the deck. Rest you should have probably already know. Shockmaster, Fist Dweller, Cowboy. Pretty basic. And then Utopia and Maestroke. Utopia is just whatever, I hardly bring him out, but Maestroke's pretty good. Combos well as Scrap Dragon too. So that's about, yeah, that's pretty much it for the Exceeds. And then for the Synchros, 1 Scrap Archfiend, triple Scrap Dragon, because he is your main boss monster in the deck. And then the little bonus effect that Scrap Dragon gets when he's destroyed, you special summon a Scrap non-tuner from your graveyard. It's so good. In fact, people don't even remember its effect, so they'll usually misplay when they destroy them, expecting to leave your field open, but you get that little extra push. For the other level 8s, we got Crimson Blader, just because there's a lot of level 5 or higher special normal summons right now, so he's just there. And then a Colossal Fighter, because he can be annoying. Colossal Fighter's fucking awesome. And then last but not least, our level 9 Synchros. I know, sounds weird, but level 9s. Scrap Twin, he is like 2 Compulses plus a Scrap Dragon, so he's just really good. Pop 1 monster you control, bounce 2 cards your opponent controls, and he also has that same little bonus effect that the Scrap Dragon has when it's destroyed. Special summon Scrap non-synchro. So that is pretty much it for the Scrap deck. Like I said, if you would make any changes or have any comments, just post them down in the comment section below. I really like to hear other people's feedback. All in all, the deck is really fun. It's really solid. Hell, you could even take it for competitive play. I don't recommend it. It's a pretty fun deck. But as far as seriousness goes, it's pretty fun. It's just fun. So, my little blast from the past. This is Larry from Team Awesome Sauce signing out. And peace.